I thought buying my first house in secret was the proudest moment of my life, until the day I checked my security cameras and saw my own mother unlocking the door and giving a tour to my brother's wife and a realtor, forcing me to confront a betrayal so deep that I changed every single lock and realized my family had plans for my home that I never agreed to. I secretly acquired a house, only to witness my mother conducting a tour for my brother's spouse and an acquaintance. I observed them depart, then proceeded to replace every single lock. Do you recall that profound intuition, that nervous energy, signaling a life-altering moment? That potent blend of elation and apprehension coursed through me as I finalized the purchase of 847 Maple Ridge Drive. My name is Brinley, and 6 months prior, I achieved something my family would never anticipate. I bought a residence. Not merely a house, but a stunning 3-bedroom craftsman nestled in Riverside Heights, complete with a gracious wraparound porch, original hardwood flooring, and a kitchen fit for a publication. This was the dwelling I had envisioned since sketching floor plans in my notebooks during math class at age 12. However, there was a crucial detail. I divulged this to no one. Not my parents, nor my brother James, not even my closest confidant, Savannah. This house became my clandestine haven, my personal sanctuary, my opportunity to possess something entirely and unequivocally my own. Being the middle child within the Hartford household, I grew accustomed to feeling overshadowed. James, my elder brother, epitomized success, a celebrated high school quarterback, a Northwestern business graduate, married to his university sweetheart, Amber, and now helming our father's construction enterprise. Then came Paige, my younger sister, the artistic spirit, pursuing her MFA in Chicago, funded by our parents. And I was simply Brinley, the pragmatic one. I balanced 2 jobs through community college, diligently saved every penny, and consistently requested nothing. While James received a substantial down payment contribution for his initial home and Paige enjoyed tuition funding, my share was usually admonishments regarding financial prudence. Thus, after 5 dedicated years as a dental hygienist, supplementing my income with a weekend photography venture, I accumulated sufficient funds for my own down payment. I resolved to demonstrate my financial acumen. I located the ideal property, secured mortgage pre-approval, and submitted an offer, keeping it entirely secret. The previous owner, Mrs. Kellerman, was relocating to Florida to reside nearer her grandchildren. She expressed delight that a young woman was acquiring her cherished family abode, where she had nurtured her own offspring. During the initial visit, she recounted cherished memories, backyard celebrations, festive mornings by the hearth, and the picturesque view from the kitchen window of children heading to school. This residence yearns for a family once more, she stated, gently placing the keys into my hand at the culmination of the sale. It awaited the perfect occupant. For 3 months, I meticulously furnished it, piece by piece, in clandestine fashion. I would drive there after work, often just to recline on the porch swing, observing the sunset paint the sky in vibrant hues. I embedded tulip bulbs in the front flower bed and strung ambient lights in the rear yard. I even welcomed a rescue cat, a ginger tabby named Muffin, who appeared to grasp the preciousness of our small, shared secret. My strategy was straightforward: inhabit the dwelling discreetly for several months, establish myself, then surprise my family during Christmas dinner. I imagined nonchalantly mentioning my new address, anticipating their expressions as they comprehended their supposedly irresponsible daughter had secured a home independently. However, fate often intervenes, disrupting even the most meticulously laid schemes. A Tuesday morning in late October marked the beginning of its unraveling. I was at work, diligently cleaning Mrs. Patterson's teeth, enduring her complaints about her son-in-law's dietary habits, when my phone vibrated with a security camera alert. Yes, I had installed them, discreetly positioned to monitor all entry points and the driveway. A single woman living alone, too many true crime documentaries, no chances taken. Though I seldom checked during working hours, an impulse compelled me to glance at my screen between patients. A chill permeated my veins. There, undeniably, on my front porch, stood my mother. She was not alone. Amber, James's spouse, accompanied her, alongside an unfamiliar blonde woman in an expensive coat. My mother fumbled in her handbag, then produced a key to my home. I watched in disbelief as she unlocked my front door, ushering the others inside. The timestamp indicated they had already been present for 7 minutes. Mrs. Patterson, I sincerely apologize, but I have an urgent family matter, I stated, my voice surprisingly steady despite the internal turmoil. We'll need to reschedule your appointment. I raced home, consumed by a whirlwind of questions. How did my mother obtain a key? How did she even know about the house? And why was she conducting unauthorized tours for James's wife and a complete stranger? Upon my arrival at Maple Ridge Drive, the women had departed, but vestiges of their presence lingered. The front door remained slightly ajar, my mother's typical oversight with securing locks. Inside, evidence of their trespass was clear: displaced furnishings, unlatched cabinets, even the refrigerator door ajar. Yet, it was the note on my kitchen counter that truly ignited my fury. Penned in my mother's recognizable hand, it read, "Brinley, darling, I know you're displeased, but this is for the best. Amber and Denise, my realtor acquaintance, believe this property holds significant promise. We'll converse this evening.
Warmly, Mom.
P.S. Adorable." I collapsed onto my sofa, the very one I diligently saved 3 months to purchase, precisely selected for this space, grappling with the unfolding reality. My mother had somehow uncovered my home's existence, secured a key, and was now showcasing it to potential purchasers without my awareness or endorsement. The perfidy struck me with physical force. This extended beyond the house. It encompassed everything. Every instance I had been disregarded, every achievement downplayed, every time I was treated as an afterthought, deemed incapable of discerning my own best interests. I immediately telephoned my mother. "Oh, excellent. You received my message?" she chirped, as though home invasion was a routine Tuesday affair. "Listen, darling. I gather you're somewhat perplexed." "Perplexed?" I interjected. "Mom, how did you acquire a key to my residence?" "Well, Mrs. Kellerman's daughter is in my book club, and when she mentioned selling to a young Hartford girl, I connected the dots. I've been terribly anxious about you residing in that neighborhood alone. It's not secure for a single woman. And honestly, the mortgage must be financially straining you." The neighborhood was far from unsafe. It was, in fact, among the more desirable districts. But that was beside the point. "So, you obtained a spare key and decided to parade my home to strangers?" Amber hinted that she and James might be considering a rental property for investment, and Denise is the county's premier realtor. I thought I hung up. That evening, my phone incessantly rang. First my mother, then James, then even my father interceded with his typical plea for calm and reasoned discussion. I disregarded all calls, spending the night researching locksmiths. Yet, avoidance offers only temporary respite. The following day, James appeared at my workplace. "Bryn, we need a discussion," he stated, using the childhood moniker that usually disarmed me. "Not today. I'm occupied." "James, Mom informed me of the incident." Truly, I had no inkling she would act in such a manner. Amber had mentioned her interest in investment properties, and Mom, well, you know how she operates when she perceives herself as assisting. I completed my patient's chart before meeting his gaze. James, at 32, retained his handsome features, the dark hair and green eyes a shared paternal inheritance. Clad in his customary khakis and button-down, he embodied the prosperous businessman. "How long have you been aware?" I inquired. "Aware of what?" "Of the house, James? How long have you known I acquired a home?" He had the decency to appear crestfallen. "Mom deduced it about a month ago. She was concerned about you, said you'd been behaving oddly, secretively. She asked me to speak with you, but I advised her to mind her own affairs." Clearly, that counsel was unheeded. "Brinley, honestly, she's only trying to protect you. That neighborhood is entirely safe," I concluded. "And even if it weren't, the decision is mine. I am 28, James. I don't require Mom's sanction to purchase a house." "Of course not. But perhaps you might have mentioned it. We are family." That term, family, resonated between us like a gauntlet thrown. For what he truly implied was, families do not conceal matters from one another. They discuss significant choices. They solicit counsel, input, and affirmation. However, in my experience, family held disparate meanings. For James, it signified unwavering encouragement and celebration of every milestone. For Paige, it meant financial provision and fervent backing for every artistic pursuit. For me, it entailed skepticism, admonishments about practicality, and the presumption that I was incapable of managing adult decisions autonomously. "I will contact Mom tonight," I finally stated. "But James, if you, Amber, or anyone else again enters my home uninvited, I will summon law enforcement." "That is not a threat. It is a solemn pledge." James's face reddened. "Good heavens, Bryn. She's our mother, not a felon. She trespassed into my home. She possesses a key I did not provide." The waiting room began to notice, so I lowered my voice. "I must return to my duties. We'll speak later." As James departed, I recognized the familiar expression on his face, the very look he wore when we were children, and I had done something beyond his comprehension. It was a blend of exasperation and condescension, as if my actions were deliberately obstructive rather than an assertion of self-worth. That night, I contacted a locksmith. "Brinley Marie Hartford, open this door immediately." My mother's voice resonated distinctly through my newly installed deadbolt as she pounded on my front entrance Thursday evening. Curled on my couch, Muffin purring contentedly in my lap, I observed through the window as she furiously jabbed the doorbell. I know you're inside. Your car's in the driveway. I had anticipated this confrontation ever since the locksmith departed that morning. Jonathan from Secure Solutions had performed an exceptional job installing fresh deadbolts, new doorknob mechanisms, and even a robust lock on the rear gate. When I delicately termed the situation a family boundary issue, he nodded sagely. Family disputes are the most taxing, he'd remarked, testing the smooth rotation of the new keys. Good for you for asserting control over your personal space. Now, witnessing my mother's increasingly desperate attempts to gain entry, a peculiar blend of triumph and compunction washed over me. Triumph unequivocally prevailed. My phone rang. My mother, naturally. Brinley, this is absurd. Unlock the door, so we can converse rationally. We can speak through the door, Mom. Or, next time, you could simply call ahead like a conventional person. Conventional people don't alter their locks to exclude their mothers. Conventional mothers don't invade their children's homes. A moment of silence ensued. I could almost sense her recalibrating her strategy. Honey, I comprehend your displeasure. I ought to have requested authorization before presenting the house, but I was genuinely concerned for your welfare. This neighborhood, this mortgage commitment, it's too substantial for someone in your circumstances. My circumstances? You understand my meaning, sweetheart. You're doing well, but this residence is ambitious. James and Amber could alleviate the financial pressure if you leased it to them. Or, if the market proves favorable, you could sell and realize a healthy profit. Obtain something more suitable. Suitable. That persistent word, shadowing my entire existence. Brinley's professional choice was suitable for someone not destined for higher education. Her apartment was suitable for a single woman. Her vehicle was suitable for her budget. But this house, this magnificent, flawless dwelling I acquired with my own funds, my own credit, my own strenuous effort, evidently, it was not suitable for someone such as me. Mom, I am not selling my house. But if you would only heed Denise's counsel. I disregard Denise's counsel. I disregard James and Amber's investment schemes. This is my property, and I intend to retain it. Brinley Marie, you are being obstinate and short-sighted. This precisely exemplifies the impulsive decision-making that troubles your father and me. You cannot simply alienate your family when we are endeavoring to assist you. I approached the window, gazing at her. Even beneath the porch light, I discerned the familiar expression of exasperated worry she wore whenever I acted beyond her control. I am not alienating my family, Mom. I am establishing parameters. If you wish to visit my home, you telephone first and request permission. If I decline, you respect that. And you most certainly do not conduct unauthorized tours. I was attempting to help you explore your alternatives. I did not solicit your assistance. The line grew quiet for an extended period. When my mother finally spoke again, her voice was taut with resentment and indignation. Very well, have it your way, but do not come seeking our comfort when this house becomes overwhelming. And do not anticipate our rescue when you realize you've erred. She abruptly disconnected. Through the window, I watched her stride purposefully back to her car, my father's aging Ford pickup, and drive off with excessive force. I should have felt triumphant, empowered, strong, and proud of my resolve. Instead, a profound, aching solitude settled within me. The ensuing fortnight proved to be among the most solitary periods of my existence. No calls from my mother, no messages from James. Even Paige, who typically remained aloof from familial strife, sent a concise note. Heard about the house situation. Perhaps just apologize and move on. Apologize for what? For acquiring a home? For desiring privacy? For declining to permit my family to dictate my life's decisions without my consultation? I immerse myself in transforming my house into a sanctuary. I painted the guest bedroom a soft lavender, installed floating shelves in the living room, and finally arranged the gallery wall of photographs I'd envisioned for months. Muffin diligently supervised each endeavor from his preferred sunny perch by the kitchen window. Yet, even the gratification of curating my ideal space couldn't entirely dissipate the void in my heart. I had attained my aspirations: autonomy, clear boundaries, and respect for my choices. However, the emotional toll felt heavier than anticipated. Then, Savannah arrived, bearing takeout from Luigi's and a bottle of wine. All right, divulge everything, she declared, settling cross-legged on my living room floor with her chicken parmesan. Word reached me through unofficial channels that you've purchased a house and are currently embroiled in a dispute with the entire Hartford clan. As your closest friend, I am profoundly affronted that I had to learn this from my hairdresser, whose cousin works at the title company. Savannah had been my dearest friend since we forged a bond over dreadful cafeteria pizza in 7th grade. She was the sole individual who never made me feel compelled to justify my existence, which likely explained my prior avoidance. I knew she would pose the difficult questions I was unprepared to address. I had no intention of causing distress, I responded, surprised by my own defensiveness. I merely desired something exclusively mine, something beyond critique or unsolicited improvement. And instead of savoring your magnificent home, which is absolutely breathtaking, by the way, you're here consuming bland sandwiches and brooding like a character from a Gothic novel. She was entirely accurate. I had indeed consumed numerous bland sandwiches. Savannah, they simply don't respect me. They never have. My mother obtained a key to my house from another woman's daughter and conducted tours as if it were her own property to flaunt. James believed it utterly rational for them to deliberate my financial choices behind my back. Even Dad merely advocates for compromise and understanding their viewpoint. So, what is your ultimate objective here? Complete estrangement. I gazed at the wine in my glass, observing the light from my new lampshade cast intricate patterns on the surface. I don't know. 3 days later, circumstances shifted once more. As I departed from work, I spotted James's Chevy Silverado in the parking lot. Yet it was Amber, not James, behind the wheel. My sister-in-law lowered the window as I approached my Honda Civic, her expression enigmatic. "May we speak?" she inquired. Amber and I had always maintained a cordial but reserved relationship. She embodied everything I was not: blonde, vivacious, with a marketing degree and an innate ability to make James feel paramount. We had never engaged in a substantial conversation beyond social pleasantries at family gatherings. If this pertains to the house situation, it does, but probably not as you imagine. She gestured towards the passenger seat. "Please, 5 minutes." Against my better judgment, I entered the truck. Amber immediately turned to face me, her customary bright smile replaced by a more earnest countenance. "I owe you an apology," she began. "A significant one. James is unaware I'm here, and he would likely be furious if he discovered this. But I cannot allow this to persist without revealing the truth." "What truth?" Amber inhaled deeply. "Your mother didn't just arbitrarily decide to show me your house. I requested it." My stomach lurched. "What?" "No, not in the way it sounds," she hastened to clarify. "Oh, this is coming out all wrong. Look, James and I have been encountering difficulties. Financial difficulties. His father's company is struggling more than anyone cares to admit, and we're delinquent on our mortgage payments. James is too proud to disclose the severity of our situation to your parents." I stared at her, struggling to process this revelation. James, the golden boy, was facing monetary woes. "When your mother mentioned you'd purchased a house, and I swear, Brinley, I had no inkling you were keeping it secret. I had this desperate notion. I thought perhaps you'd consider leasing a room, or even letting us temporarily house it. I wasn't attempting to seize your property, or anything of that nature. I was simply overwhelmed, clutching at straws." The pieces began to coalesce, forming an unsettling tableau. "So, you asked Mom to give you a tour?" I inquired if she believed you might be amenable to having housemates. She responded she would investigate. I had no idea she intended to trespass with a realtor. When James informed me of the incident, I felt nauseous. This entire predicament is my responsibility. We sat in silence for a moment, the burden of familial secrets and unspoken struggles settling between us. Why didn't James simply ask me for assistance? I finally questioned. Amber chuckled, a sound closer to a sob. "Pride, I suppose. He's meant to be the successful one, remember? The one who has everything resolved. Requesting aid from his younger sister would necessitate admitting his shortcomings." Younger sister. Even Amber perceived me that way. "I'm not young anymore," I stated softly. "No," Amber concurred, glancing around my car, my work identification, the testament to my autonomous life. "You genuinely aren't. And for what it's worth, your house is exquisite. You should take immense pride in your accomplishments." It marked the first occasion any family member had ever voiced such sentiments. That weekend, I arrived at a resolution that astonished even me. I extended an invitation to my entire family for dinner. My mother, father, James, Amber, and even Paige made the journey from Chicago. I dispatched a group text Saturday morning. "Family dinner at my residence Sunday at 6 p.m. Casual attire. I'm cooking." The replies arrived in a flurry of perplexed emojis and hesitant confirmations. My mother telephoned twice, but I allowed the calls to go to voicemail. I had extensive preparations. Sunday evening, I observed from my kitchen window as their vehicles entered my driveway. My mother emerged from my father's truck, appearing apprehensive. James and Amber exited the Silverado, Amber carrying what appeared to be a bottle of wine. Paige was the last to arrive in her dilapidated Subaru, her curly hair escaping a haphazard bun. I unlatched the door before they could even knock. "Welcome to my home," I announced, stepping aside to grant them entry. The tour I provided bore no resemblance to the unauthorized one my mother had orchestrated. With palpable pride, I guided them through every room, elucidating my design choices, highlighting the original architectural nuances, and introducing them to Muffin. I watched their faces as they absorbed the environment I had painstakingly crafted, truly seeing it perhaps for the first time. Brinley, this is... Dad began, his words trailing off. He traced his hand along the restored mantelpiece in the living room, his contractor's eye appreciating the meticulous craftsmanship. It's exquisite, Paige concluded. I cannot believe you accomplished all this yourself. Over a dinner of homemade lasagna, garlic bread, and a garden salad featuring vegetables from my backyard, I recounted the complete narrative, how I diligently saved for 5 years, my meticulous research into neighborhoods, mortgage rates, and home inspections, and how I'd instantly fallen in love with this house upon seeing the listing. But why did you not inform us? My mother inquired, her voice subdued. We could have assisted. Because I desired to achieve it independently, I stated plainly. Because every time I've made a decision in my life, someone in this family has offered an opinion on how I could have done it better. I wanted one thing, just one. That was unequivocally mine. James shifted uneasily in his chair. We don't do that, do we? I surveyed the table. James, when I initiated my photography business, what was your comment? He remained silent. You remarked that it was nice I had a little hobby to keep me busy. Dad, when I received my promotion to lead hygienist, you commented it was good experience for when I decided to do something more serious with my life. Mom, when I purchased my car, you spent an hour explaining why a sedan would have been more practical than my Jeep. An uncomfortable silence pervaded. I love you all, I resumed. But I needed to demonstrate to myself that I could make sound judgments without a collective committee. And I did. I acquired a house, and it is flawless, and I am proud of myself. Amber abruptly interjected. I also owe you an apology regarding the entire rental proposal. I should have communicated with you directly instead of involving your mother. James regarded his wife with surprise, evidently hearing this aspect of the story for the first time. Financial difficulties? I asked gently. James's jaw tightened, but Amber confirmed with a nod. The construction business has been sluggish. We are managing, but it's been arduous. I looked at my brother, truly observing him. For the first time, I discerned the lines of strain around his eyes, the tension held in his shoulders. The golden boy was not quite as unblemished as everyone presumed. If you require assistance, I began. We don't need. James automatically started, then checked himself. Apologies, old habits. If you require assistance, I reiterated firmly, you can approach me directly, and you will respect my response, whatever it may be. Agreed. He nodded, appearing somewhat taken aback. And Mom, I addressed her. I need you to grasp something. My anger isn't rooted in your attempt to help. It stems from your lack of trust in my capacity to know what I require. Obtaining a key to my home without permission, inviting strangers inside, devising schemes for my property. That isn't help. That's an exercise in control. My mother's eyes welled with tears. I simply worry about you. You're so autonomous, so determined to accomplish everything alone. I merely wished to ensure you had options. I appreciate your concern, but I need you to trust that I can navigate my own life. Even if I make errors, they're my errors to make. We conversed until nearly midnight, dispelling decades of misinterpretations and unspoken expectations. It wasn't a flawless discussion. There were tears, raised voices, and moments when I thought someone might abruptly leave. But it was truthful in a way our family hadn't been for years. As they finally departed, my mother embraced me with exceptional tightness at the threshold. I am proud of you, she whispered. I should have articulated that sooner. Watching their taillights recede down Maple Ridge Drive, I sensed a profound alteration within me. The hollow sensation that had been my constant companion for weeks began to dissipate, replaced by a burgeoning warmth. I still lingered in my doorway when my phone vibrated with a text from James. Thanks for dinner. Your house is incredible. You did well, sis. For the first time in months, I drifted to sleep that night with an authentic sense of belonging. Not merely within my house, but within my family. The crucial difference was that now, I belonged on my own terms. And sometimes, that distinction can transform everything.